my name is Anna Shireen and welcome to another video on my channel. Today I'm sitting on a bed, which is not my bed, but it's a bed, because I think we should have a little girl talk. Let's talk about self-confidence, shall we? Quick disclaimer, when I say girl talk, I do not mean that this video is meant for girls only, but I just like the phrase girl talk. Girl is like with an U, so it's like girl talk, which just includes everyone. Everyone's welcome here. I get asked by a lot of people, or not asked, just a lot of people point out that I'm very self-confident, and I thought I would make a video about it because, contrary to popular belief, I am not that confident and that happy with myself as it seems to be, but there's some tricks that I've learned or some ways of thinking that I've just started to use that just help me a lot with being fine with who I am. That doesn't mean that I love every single part of myself and I love everything I do, but just to accept myself and to give myself the time to start things and to suck at things at the beginning and not be good and perfect at everything right now because I am 16 and I don't have to be. Before we get into the good stuff, let's just start with a small story about, well, me, because this is my channel, and my journey with self-confidence. When I was young, I was very, very insecure. I was always the chubby girl in my class. I was always pretty small and pretty chubby. All of my best friends were always like taller and very, very thin. Like, one of my best friends is now signed to a model agency and is absolutely killing it, and my body just doesn't look like that. I, from a very young age, remember looking up diet things on the internet and trying to eat less or work out. I had like a workout plan on my wall when I was like 11, and I was never not active. I always did ballet. I was like in a dance ensemble in the Friedrichstadtpalast, which is a pretty big thing in Germany and Berlin. I was a fit girl, but I was also a little bit chubby. The one thing doesn't exclude or include the others. It's just two different things. And because I was so insecure with myself, I was very outgoing and crazy and tried to gather a lot of attention around me just so I could get positive reinforcements from other people that weren't myself. And a lot of people mistake that as self-confidence, but in reality, I just wanted to hide the fact that I was so insecure with pretending that I'm very overly secure with myself. One example of that is that I started the habit to sneeze randomly in class, so people would say, "bless you," and that would get me attention, even if I didn't have to sneeze, which is very, very random. Another example is when I wanted to hide the fact that I couldn't do something, for example, sports or like some trick, some math thing, I would either start to cry or I would go the route of being extremely stubborn and being like, oh, I can't do this and I don't want to do this, like being very moody and like just start to sometimes even insult other people that try to encourage me to do something, and I could do it if I wanted to. That was a defense mechanism that I had because I couldn't handle the fact that I wasn't immediately the best or good at something. Because when I was really young, 5 to 8 years old, I was very, very talented, and I'm still very talented, but that was the age where talent alone was enough and all you needed. So everything that I would try or I would do, I would be the best at, or really good at. I was always good in school. I could read and do simple maths even before I got into elementary school. I did a lot of ballet and I was extremely flexible, so I learned that it was good to be really good at something. Then when it came to the point that I actually had to work for being good at something, for example dance classes or school, when I really had to start to study, I couldn't handle that because I thought I was bad, because I didn't understand that I wasn't, I just had to do something. And I had that with me for a very, very long time. So I had all that for a very long time, and I must admit that some thinking patterns still resurface now and then. But now I can recognize them and I can actively try to fight against them. One factor of me being more comfortable with myself and learning all that was going to therapy for me. I started to go to therapy for a different reason when I was really young, which I will touch on sometime in the future. But in total, I went to therapy 7 years of my life, which is quite a lot for a 16-year-old. And this exchange here helped me out so much as well. First of all, I learned that it's okay to not be good at things right away. For example, the language. And then I had to spend a lot of time with myself, especially at the beginning. So I kind of had to get to know myself a little bit better, and there weren't any distractions. I went through a breakup as well. That was like my first breakup I ever had, which of course also cost me a lot of energy and a lot of tears and a lot of heartbreak songs that I wrote. But also it taught me a bunch about myself and what I really want in life and what is important to me. This is my journey, and here I am now. I'm still not 100% happy with myself. I still can't say I love every single inch of my body, but I think that's not really what it's about. You don't have to think you're perfect. You just have to accept yourself for not being perfect and knowing that that's okay and that's totally normal. Now we talked a bunch about my story and what I went through, what I had to learn. So let's talk about the specifics. I want to tell you about a few thinking patterns that either you should encourage or discourage, and also a few techniques for very specific situations that I use in my day-to-day life. Your thoughts matter a lot. How you talk about yourself and others makes a huge difference. And what I mean by that is that we are pretty quick to judge ourselves and others. Especially with social media like Instagram or TikTok, I think these are the main ones. We get the chance to compare our lives to what we think other lives are like. If I go onto Instagram, I see hundreds and thousands of pictures of girls my age, of people that made it in the music industry, or like actresses, and their life seems just very picture perfect from the outside. I have no idea what the lives look like on the inside. I don't even know these people. Still, I compare myself to them and talk down to myself. Why haven't you reached this level of success? Why can't you hold a diet and look like that? On the one hand, we compare ourselves to others and also talk down to ourselves because we think we're not as good or not as worthy or not as successful, whatever it may be. On the other hand, we judge other people, other people's life, their decisions, their body, and talk down to them. And that doesn't have to be in the form of a hate comment or talking with a friend and gossiping about someone. That happens in our head the most. A thing that's hard to admit, that can also happen with your best friend, with someone that you really like and you would never say it to their face, but because of envy and jealousy, you might think that in your head. And that's what I did for a long time. When I saw that someone was successful, especially in the areas that I wanted to be successful in as well, I, in my head, would talk down to them and be like, they don't deserve it, they're not that good, I'm way better than them. Because I was jealous and I envied them. And of course I would have never said that to their face because I knew that it was wrong, but I did that in my head to feel better about myself, or just again to mask the fact that I was very insecure about myself. That also happened with very, very close friends of mine. And that makes me sad to think that I was so insecure and so unhappy that to channel that onto people that are very important to me and that I love. One thing that I had to learn, and I think I really learned in the last few months, is that the success of others doesn't affect yours at all. My best friend, for example, is also an actress, and she got a bunch of auditions and also a bunch of parts. And for the first time in a long time, I was truly just happy for her when she told me that. And she called me and I would get more excited than she was because I was just very happy for her. That she got all those parts didn't affect me at all. I didn't even audition for the same projects. I'm in Costa Rica, she's in Germany. We two have different lives. So why would it affect me, or why did it affect me in the past? She can always call me and she can always tell me about her accomplishments and I will be happy for her. That I'm happy for her doesn't affect me negatively. If anything, it affects me positively because I just don't have these negative thoughts inside of me. And I get to enjoy the accomplishments of my best friend. I get to be there for her. And I know that when I have accomplishments in my life, she's there for me the exact same way. And what you give, you get back a lot of times in life. Another very important thing that I had to learn, and I think a lot of people have to learn, is that in order to be good at something, you have to suck at it first. With everything you want to accomplish, you have to start first. before you are good. You don't have to start today. Maybe you just don't have the energy today. Maybe you don't have the mental capacity. That's okay. You can start tomorrow. You can start in a week, but you have to start. For the first days, weeks, months, you will not be that good. But that's okay. You don't have to be good at something to enjoy it. Why is that such a huge thing? And I know that I'm not the only one. I see it in comments on Instagram all the time. Friends talk about it, that they're embarrassed to start something because they're not good at it. I'm the same. And it makes me so sad, because how would you be good at something if you don't start? For me, a big point in my life where I had to learn this was when I came to Costa Rica and I had to speak Spanish. And I wasn't good at it. Of course I wasn't good at it, but I more or less got my point across when I spoke to people. And if I hadn't spoken Spanish, because I wasn't good at it, I wouldn't have learned in the first place. And second of all, that would have just been stupid. So why do I do that with a lot of other things? Why do I go to a dance class and start to cry? Because I can't do the choreography that I just learned for the very first time, and the other girls have done it for weeks. What? That just doesn't make sense when you talk about it, but that's a thing that I really had to fight with. And I started to go to a dance studio here in Costa Rica. I kid you not, for the first month, every single class, I started to cry because I was so unhappy with the way I looked, because during Corona and during quarantine stuff, I gained a lot of weight. Second of all, I wasn't as good as the others, naturally, because I hadn't done any form of exercise for 6 months while they had. And third of all, I was a little confused with the language, and sometimes I just didn't understand what they wanted from me, and I couldn't communicate well what was my problem, because I couldn't speak Spanish that well. And sometimes I wanted to say something, and the moment I opened my mouth, I just started to cry, because I was like, I can't do this. What am I even doing here? And for some reason, I still went 3 times a week. Now, I'm very happy there, and I'm still not one of the best, obviously. They want to be professional dancers, I don't. I just want to do it for fun. Now I even started at a completely new academy, where I'm alone. I do not know anyone again. I still am not a pro at Spanish. And again, I kind of suck because it's a new style of dancing. I now do jazz funk and jazz, and in the other school I do more ballet and contemporary. I'm very, very proud of that, and I'm very proud of myself being like, I want to start something new, and I'm gonna do that. I had a blast in my first class because I learned so many new things, and in order to learn, you have to suck at it first. Please, 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 write it down. Write it down 3 times, make it your phone wallpaper, I don't know. I'm gonna link some very cute and inspirational phone wallpapers below. But please, remember those 3 sentences. Your thoughts matter. How you talk about yourself and others makes a huge difference. Secondly, the success of others doesn't affect your own. And thirdly, in order to be good at something, you have to suck at it first. These 3 sentences are the things that I had to learn, and I think for me made a huge difference in the way that I perceive myself and others, which indirectly, again, changes the way I perceive myself. As a little bonus to end this video, I want to tell you about 2 techniques that I learned in therapy to just in general stop negative thoughts. I had big problems with being scared. I was scared in the dark. I was scared that someone will kill me. I was scared of ghosts. Ghosts. So these techniques are used for that. If I had scary pictures in my mind, to stop these pictures. But they also really work for negative thoughts. One is very simple. It's the stop technique. If I think about something and I can't really let go of the negative thought, might it be about myself, about others, something very random, and you just think about it, and you want to distract yourself and you still think about it, just say stop. Out loud. If you're alone, if you're in public, you can lower your voice a bit, but just say it. Stop. And that helps a lot. Another thing, which also sounds a little silly if you hear it at first, is taking the thought and putting it into a safe in your head. Again, what I had in the past when I was younger, I would get these scary pictures in my head of either a mass murderer or that a specific kind of ghost, but they would repeat themselves. It will always be the same people or the same ghosts. One thing that my therapist taught me is that I would just close my eyes, imagine that picture, that I have it, imagine as if I either take a picture of that thing Or I look at a picture and I take that picture, and in my head, I imagine that I go upstairs to an attic, open the door to an attic, go into the attic, go to the safe, put that picture or that thought or whatever it may be, put it into the safe, close the safe, lock it, and go out of the attic and close the door. This is a technique that may sound very random and childish and silly, but I still do it to this day. I don't know how it works. I'm not a therapist. I can't explain what happens in your head when you're doing that, but I know that for me it works, and it has helped me with a lot of anxiety and also with negative thoughts. I'm not saying that it most definitely will help you, but that's a thing that helped me, and you should definitely try. That's it with the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope I could maybe help at least one person with it, because self-confidence and being kind to yourself is a thing that's really important. And if you have some thoughts, suggestions, some personal stories that you would like to share, please feel free to comment down below. I would love to read some of your comments. And also make sure to leave a comment down below if you have any questions or another topic that you would like me to talk about. And if you like this video, then just leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel to don't miss any future video. And yeah, I hope you have a wonderful time, and see us in the next one. Mwah. Bye!
Now we're going to your bedroom. Don't you think we're moving too soon? I love to hear you when you complain about your best friend, how she's so late. And as you're talking, I start thinking all the details start to sink